Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking time to listen to a few of my thoughts under the umbrella of psychology and the many gifts it has to offer humankind. You know, it's not only psychology and various modalities within it that remind us that human life is finite. Right now it is. I mean, we don't know what science is going to come up with who knows, in 5 minutes. But at the time of recording, February the 14th, 2022, it seems humans can't quite live forever, right? And so in this one life we have, it's highly likely that each one of us will experience some loss and suffering. So various spiritual approaches, including Buddhism and so on, remind us of that. It's a fact. And I feel and believe that one of the greatest tragedies in many human beings is that they don't know, they haven't been taught that it's not our circumstances that create our emotions, but what we tell ourselves about our circumstances, our perception of them. And in a recent video I did that you may have already seen during Psychology Month, I briefly spoke about the difference between rational thinking, irrational thinking, and the healthy versus unhealthy negative emotions. So I'm not going to take time describing them now. This is just another quickie, few minutes to share some thoughts with you. But there are a couple of things after that was recorded that I thought I might like to share with you. And thank you, Dr. Alvanig, for recording this, Sunway University and the psychology department there for giving me these minutes to share some more thoughts. So it's Valentine's Day 2022, and there's, I believe, in many places in Asia and certainly here in the USA, I'm in New York City, also not as much, but also in my native Australia and other places. It's a big deal, Valentine's Day, and also this kind of build up to other major religious or spiritual celebrations or holy days. Christmas time or the Muslim high holy days, Chinese New Year, the year of the tiger, and others. And so there's this build-up, time to celebrate, time to be with family. And that seems to very much ignore the fact that there are a lot of people who may not have family members alive, or who may not get on very well with their family members, who might be very alone, very small social group, the elderly, who through the fact that they've outlived their partners, their loved ones, they literally don't know many people who truly, truly care about them. So these times where a lot of people are buying roses and celebrating, which by the way is great. I'm not asserting, tone it down, don't celebrate as much. What I am asserting is the benefit of considering other humans who may not be in a position to celebrate, as some more fortunate individuals may do. And so one of the things I suggest to those for whom these times are joyful, can you take some time to visit or do something good for people who aren't celebrating now, who are feeling a lot of sadness and aloneness? That's one element of REBT, social interest. That's also in Adlerian psychotherapy. not only caring for ourselves and cherishing this gift of life and creating healthy emotions by thinking in healthy ways, but doing good for others, doing good for others. There's that. And then in the bigger picture, REBT encourages the educating of people, preferably from childhood onwards, to know not only that it's not events that create our emotions, but that we are responsible for our emotional experience, and teaching the how-tos. And in so doing, if any of us do find ourselves in a chapter of life, be it temporary or longer term, where we are deprived of loved ones or support or harmony for one reason and another, that we're in the habit of having a healthy attitude, of focusing on what still is good, on not focusing on what we're deprived of. And in that way, even during tougher times, our head is not only above water, but we create enrichment. There's a story I once heard, I don't know if it's true or made up, but it makes the point of an elderly person whose loved ones can't look after her anymore, and she's blind, she's a widow, and she's taken into an old age home. And she's in the lobby waiting, and she has some sight, so not everyone realizes that she's sort of legally blind. And she's in the lobby, and someone comes to her and says, "Oh, hello, Mrs. Let's say Mrs. Jones, welcome. Let me take you to your room." And she says, "Oh, thank you. I'm so grateful. I'm sure it'll be really good." And so she's taken to a room which happens to have one other person in it. And her bed is by a window. And the nurse or whoever's taking it says, "Oh, you're by the window." And the Mrs. Jones says, "That's lovely, darling. Thank you." And so the next day, the other person says to her, "Well, you're lucky you're by the window. What's the view like?" And she says, "Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Out there's so much sunshine. There's just beauty in the sky." And the other person says, "Wow, I can imagine that. You've made my day." And she didn't realize that actually Mrs. Jones couldn't really see those things except in her imagination. So by thinking those things, she was uplifted, but she also helped another person. Now, other people bought into a home like that. "Why do I have to be here? I shouldn't have to be here. I wish I could still live where I used to live." And they're going to make themselves very depressed. So the point is, it's our attitude. And the sooner in life, before things become really tough, we get into the habit of looking for what we can be grateful for, then when times actually are tough, it's not that difficult to look for that focus. I was very sad today to hear about the suicide of a young man in his early 30s who had been suffering from depression. And I reflected on the following, which I usually do when I hear someone who's suicided. I wonder, were they taught early on that it's okay to seek therapy when things seem too tough? I wonder, were they taught early on that there's a difference between healthy sadness and disappointment and depression? And were they taught, if they identify it's depression, that it's okay to reach out and to think about their thinking and to seek support from others? or were they not taught that? So as I conclude these few minutes with you, I encourage each one of us to practice daily gratitude, to keep things in perspective, to encourage other people in our lives, to focus on what's good. It's not about repressing what isn't good. No, let us give that healthy attention in the way I've already touched on. So not instead of, but in addition to. Let's look at what's good in this swiftly moving life that we have. Therapy can be helpful. Learning its lessons and then being our own therapist, unless we're suffering from something more debilitating, can be really helpful. And just cherishing life. Thank you for your time. I'm grateful.